Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Dr. Monkey, where we laugh together and cry together, but hopefully take something away to treat each other a little better. Here's some interesting stories. One about OP's cousin's mother, who is so entitled she got in jail for what she had done. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Story 1. My aunt was always playing the big shot of solving people's problems, but using my cousin as the actual person to take on the problem. Always for free. If someone insisted on paying, EA kept the money. Need a babysitter? A ride? House cleaned? Yard mowed? Errands run? Oh, my daughter can do it. As far as my aunt was concerned, the only reason Emily existed was to cater to her. Emily was her ultimate trophy. EA was entitled long before it became a huge thing. Cast: EA, entitled aunt. Emily, cousin. Mike, Emily's boyfriend. Me, police 1, police 2. Judge. My aunt has always been entitled. It's her personality type. My mother couldn't stand her little sister, so we tried to avoid her, while still maintaining contact with her husband and child. My uncle, their brother, lived further south in the state, so we always tried to avoid EA knowing when we were visiting. On this trip, I was staying with my cousin for a couple of weeks in the summer, and we were going to do the tourist things. EA thought that the university not being in session meant that my cousin was servant labor. One day, Emily decided that enough was enough. She was supposed to run errands for a friend of EA, and had told her mother she had plans. Her mother, as usual, acted as though Emily had agreed and expected her to comply. Emily just didn't run the errand for the friend as demanded. It was that simple. My mother and I had arrived about 10 minutes before the phone rang. EA called, and though this was back during landlines, she was screaming so loudly that both my mother and I could hear both sides clearly. EA: "How dare you embarrass me with my friends? You call Mrs. No Name and apologize immediately. You are grounded for a month and you may not drive the car at all. Now you make that call and go run those errands now." If anyone can explain how she was supposed to do this without using the car, I'd like to know. Emily: "Mom, I'm 22. I do not live in your house. You do not pay my bills, and you do not own my car. Run the errands yourself. I have plans." My mom was a little nervous leaving us at that point. It's a mom thing. And she has met her sister thing. Even though we were both fine, she left just after meeting Emily's boyfriend. We left and went over to the water park and a few other things. We got back to the house and were talking about where to have dinner. Mom insisted on paying for us to go someplace really nice for dinner that night. We get back and Emily's car is gone. She called and asked where it was. Emily: "Mom, do you have my car?" EA: "Yes, I do. Your father brought me over so I could check and see if you had obeyed me. I told you that you're grounded, and you were not there when I arrived. I'm keeping the car for a month. But I'm going to let Mrs. No Name borrow it because you've been so horrible to her." Emily: "Mom, that's stealing. I want my car back now, or I'm going to report it as stolen. No, Mrs. No Name can't drive my car." EA: "I am your mother. What I say goes, Missy. You need to learn some respect and get it through your head that I'm in charge and you are the child. You don't own anything. It's mine because I am your mother. The police will likely arrest you for wasting their time." Emily hung up and looked at me. She is so angry she is crying in rage. Emily: "If I call the police, she's going to know you are here." Me: "I can live with that. That fallout is a whole other story." She picked up the phone and called the police, told them her car had been taken without her permission and where it was. Mike drives us over there. We do not want to miss the show. Police 1 knocks on the door. EA answers. EA: "Hello, officers. Do you need something?" EO 1: "Ma'am, the vehicle in the drive matches the description and location of a vehicle reported stolen." EA: "It's my car. I took it from my daughter because she is grounded from using it for being disobedient and disrespectful. PO2. I see. May we have a word with her, please? EA, looking very smug. She doesn't live here. PO1, who had noticed us across the street. You three, come over here, please. PO1, did one of you call us? Emily, I did. It's my car, officer. My mother seems to think she has control over it, and me. EA, it's my car. I'm your mother, and you have to obey me. It's the law. Tell her, officers. PO2, actually, ma'am, there is no such law. Your daughter is an adult. EA, there most certainly is a law. I'm going to report you to your chief for not knowing it. I may even sue. PO1, to cousin. May I see their car registration and your license, please? Emily hands them to him. PO1, ma'am, this car is registered in the name of your daughter, and only your daughter. It's her car, and you have no right to drive it. EA looks at the registration the officer is showing her, then snatches Emily's license from him and slams the door. The police officers look at each other for a moment, then shrug and ring the bell again. EA answers it, looking very smug. PO1, ma'am, I'm going to need you to return the license now. EA hands him the license, that she is cut into several pieces. EA, now she can't drive because she doesn't have a license. She looks at Emily as though she just scored some odd victory. Then she finally notices me. EA, what are you doing here? Me, just trying to have a nice visit with my cousin. She has hated me for years. EA, you need to leave. I didn't give you permission to visit. Where is your mother? Me, I don't need your permission. My mother is not here. I can travel without her. PO1, ma'am, you're under arrest for destruction of government property. Apparently, cutting a valid license is a felony in some places. Who knew? And grand theft of the car. EA, you can't arrest me. I'm her mother. I have rights. PO2, yes, you do. He then reads him to her. The officer explains to us that until she had destroyed the license, he had been willing to issue an appearance ticket. Then, instead of being arrested, she would have just had to appear in front of the judge and get a fine. This was much bigger deal. Emily ran into the house to tell her father what had happened. We all chatted for a little bit until the phone rang. It was EA telling him to call her attorney. We left. I drove the car back to Emily's and took her to get her license replaced the next morning. The attorney called by my uncle apparently didn't know my aunt, and he showed up at the first hearing, a week later, to try and get it dismissed. It looked to be going her way at first. EA attorney, Your Honor, this is a family matter. It's simply a case of a mother disciplining her child, and the child calling the police because her mother grounded her from using the car. Judge, so, she got mad and called the police, and she, not knowing that it was a crime to destroy the license, did so? EA attorney, yes, Your Honor, that's pretty much it. Judge, prosecutor, do you have nothing better to do today? Prosecutor, no, Your Honor, I don't. I consider it rather important when a 22-year-old woman has her car stolen. It doesn't matter who stole it. She has just as much a right to justice as someone who has their car stolen by a stranger. 22? The victim is 22? Prosecutor, yes, Your Honor. The victim is a 22-year-old woman who is the sole owner of the vehicle in question. Her mother became enraged at her daughter. She then went to her daughter's home, stole her car, and later destroyed her license. EA attorney, Your Honor, I was not aware of the age or living situation of the victim. I was under the impression that the child was a minor who resides with her parents. EA was sitting there looking smug. Her attorney was sweating bullets. Judge, EA, do you realize that these are very serious charges, and if convicted, you could face up to 8 years in prison? EA, for what? I have the right to discipline my child as I see fit. She disobeyed me. She will think twice before doing it again. Judge, no, you don't. You have the right to discipline your child within the confines of the law. You have stepped outside of that parameter. You stole your daughter's car. EA, I am her mother. It's my right. Isn't it really theft because she is my child and her property belongs to me by law? Judge: Where did you get your law degree? EA: I don't have one. Judge: Then let me be the first to explain to you that your child is a legal adult, period. You have no right to anything of hers without her express consent, period. You may not take her car without permission, period. You may not enter her home without her permission, period. Do you understand that? EA: You don't know what you're talking about. I'm her mother. That gives me the right. I'm in charge. Judge: No, ma'am. I'm in charge. This case will be held over for trial. I went home a week later. EA eventually took a plea deal where she had 2 years probation and had to take parenting classes. The parenting classes were Mike's idea, and the prosecutor thought it was great. We laughed hysterically over that because my cousin is an only child. LOL. Emily and Mike married a year later and moved the heck away from there. This took place about 30 years ago. EA maintained for the rest of her life that the judges, there were 5 for different status hearings, didn't know what the heck they were doing, and she was right. I love how even EA's lawyer was like, darn, when he heard of Emily's age. Also, the arrogance of EA to think her daughter, that doesn't even live with her anymore, is obligated to do as she says. She's clearly one of those parents who thinks children are legal servants that you have to make yourself and not family members to be raised and cherished. Story 2. This year, I went all out decorating my yard and house for Halloween for the first time. It's my first house, and I was super excited about trick-or-treating. I decided to go big. I got dressed up, handed out goodie bags, and played spooky music. I just wanted to have fun on my favorite night of the year and help all the kids to have fun too. I made goodie bags that included some stickers, a small toy, 3 fun-size M&Ms, and a full-size candy bar. I drew something cute on each goodie bag and had a lot of fun with the whole thing. About an hour into trick-or-treating, a family pulls up on a trailer with an American flag and Trump flag waving behind it, being pulled by a 4-wheeler. Several kids came barreling out and ran up to my door. The first few kids were clearly too old to be trick-or-treating, but I gave them a bag anyway because they had a couple of younger kids with them, probably 7 or 9, and they all quickly ran off. Then, trailing so far behind that the other kids had already ran back to the 4-wheeler, was the littlest one, probably 5 or maybe 6 years old. Cute as can be. I asked if she was having fun, and told her how much I loved her costume and gave her a bag. She started walking back down the driveway when, I'm assuming Dad yelled loudly, "I hear this one has full-size bars, let me see," and snatched the bag right out of the little girl's hands. He started to walk away and yelled, "What? Uh-oh, no way, we got gypped." And he turned around angrily and started up the driveway toward the house. I instantly felt sick. Blood rushed to my ears, my heart was pounding, and I steadied myself for an angry confrontation. I was legitimately scared for a second. I decided right then I was going to stand my ground, even though this man was big and scary. Well, apparently he didn't see the full-size bar at the bottom of the bag because he yelled, "Oh wait, here it is! Lucky for them!" and turned around and hopped on the 4-wheeler and left. Now I'm a shrinking violet, but I almost cried. I wasn't even sure why. Maybe the adrenaline filled me when I saw him angrily walking back toward my house. Maybe because he totally ruined that experience for that little girl. Or relief that he wasn't coming for me. Maybe all of those things. I was shaking so much I had to go inside and collect myself before going back out. I still can't get it out of my mind. It really did put a damper on the rest of my night. And I've decided that was the one and only time I'd be doing this. This world is so scary and people are so entitled that doing something kind gets you threats. I hope the little girl's okay. Oh, I do want to add one more thing that made me feel a little better. Toward the end of the night, I heard a small voice exclaim from somewhere down the street, "Stickers!" That's when I remembered why I did it. Good for you for going all out. It's bad that one father was such a jerk. Don't let him steal your joy. People like you make the world a better place. I hope you're back again next year with nothing but fun on your mind and, more stickers. Story 3. Growing up, my mom had told me she was raising me to be the best child because she knew I would achieve more. My mom was way harsher on my grades, sports, academic clubs, looks, and personal life than my little brother. I admit, I grew up hating my little brother for all the freedom he had. While I was always isolated, I was always grounded, I was always working multiple jobs to not only save up for college, but to help with the family bills. When my brother got a job, he was able to spend his money on what he wanted. My mom told me what my career goal was, what person I should marry, how she will move in with me after I buy a house to raise the children and take care of her. My mom was the type to blow money on designer stuff while we slept in hotels and cars at one point. I hated being poor. All I wanted was a house growing up, a nice small place for us. If I dated someone my mom didn't approve, she would do anything to sabotage the relationship because they were not good enough for me. Well, I went to law school, and I was getting my JD when I met my now current boyfriend. You know, they say when you know, you know. Gosh, did we know right away. Moved me in after 3 days and have not been away from each other since. I love his family, and they also love me. He was raised upper middle class and had an amazing set of parents. He was also the top of the law school and just felt too perfect for me. My mom disagreed. She didn't like him one bit because anytime she said something to make herself look smart, he called her out and said, "Nope, you're wrong." Provided facts and even showed her sources. Oh, she hates to be proven wrong. I told my boyfriend how my mother raised me and what she expects from me growing up. Well, he wasn't going to have it. He said she would even be lucky to know her grandchildren. My mom started to see her plans unraveling with my new boyfriend and tried to break us up multiple times. When she started to make fun of his parents, he drew the line. He called her out and said we were done with her. The panic was real for my mom in this moment. I was her meal ticket. She demanded that I made my choice, my own mother or a man I was only dating for a year. I chose my boyfriend. We have been together for almost 3 years. I dropped from law school and work remotely in an amazing job. He graduated top of his class and was hired immediately. Our income is way above what I expected, and sometimes cry at night for how blessed I feel. Growing up, I always begged to have a home I could call my own. Now we may have a home together in a few years. She will send threats and make up excuses to try and contact me in order to get back in my life. We plan on getting married soon and know we have to keep it really quiet because she will either call in a threat or try to show up. Just in case, make sure to have a password with all the caterers and event staff for your wedding. That way, Mommy Dearest won't be able to screw up your wedding in any way. Why did you drop out of law school? With a law degree and 2 incomes, you could purchase a house quicker. And as long as there are no kids, you could stay in that job even after kids. There are lots of things you could do as a lawyer, from home or have a babysitter for the kids. Well guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story's about a crazy woman who kicked OP's service dog and got what she deserved. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you next time on Dr. Monkey.